Hi everyone, Christopher here, and welcome back to another episode of Fossil Forward Finds. It has been a couple months. I do apologize. It's just been a lot going on this summer. My brother and nephew moved back to New York. I took more responsibilities at my part-time job to help bridge some of the pay gap because the business is not quite there yet for full-time living. You do what you gotta do. Uh, July was the 1 year anniversary of my mother passing, which I still haven't figured out how that makes sense. Um, so, for all these reasons, I just sort of took a step back from the filming, obviously, and I haven't sourced as much or nearly at all this summer. Trying to work on some of the back stock, so I've been doing a lot of sorting on these busy work days. Something that's a little bit mindless, a little easy, and when I do get back to listing more regularly, I can, all right, here's, like, for example, I got a big stack of Denver, Colorado. When I'm ready, just list all the Denver in a row. But in any case, I've also been working a lot on my Etsy shops, trying to get them ready for Q4. My print on demand business tends to do better Q4 than the postcard business, so just trying to get that ready. And so what we got on screen here is one of those examples. This is my Cryptid Pride Hat. I'm kind of in my cryptid era for whatever reason. But you got Bigfoot, Mothman, Jackalope, which I've sold a lot of Jackalope postcards. That's how I actually was introduced to it. Wendigo, I believe. No, that's the Chupacabra. Sorry, Chupacabra, um, Mongolian Deathworm, and then the Jersey Devil there. So you can find that over on my Etsy shop. But anyways, what we're doing in today's video, obviously I haven't been doing what sold videos. We're not going to try to get through um, everything week by week. So we're going to do a what sold in June. So it's going to be a bit longer of an episode. So grab a snack, grab a drink, buckle up. But in the month of June, we sold 155 orders for a total of $2,168 gross, which comes out to about $542 gross a week, which is actually not too bad. I have a feeling the July numbers will not be as good because, again, I haven't been listing as many real photo postcards. I've been working through the backstock. But, anyways, obviously, we're not going to go through all 155 items. You can see we got a long taskbar up here, but I'm going to pull out to start with some of the. Sorry, Garak is being Garak. I'm going to start off with some of the non postcard sales, and then we'll move on from there. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so as always, we're going to start with the non-postcard items. We'll do that for a little bit, and then we'll go into some regular postcards, and then finish up with the real photo postcards. Alright, so to start off, we have something a little different for me. Victorian trade cards are something I certainly appreciate. The artwork on them is quite fantastic, a lot of great advertising, but it's not something that I've really delved too much into. Um, Definitely check out Flippin' Roo's eBay store if that's something you're interested in. They do a lot more with Victorian trade cards than I do. But this one came in one of the Albany album. I need to get back to that series too. But from one of the Albany postcard albums. And this one was kind of neat because it's sort of like a paper doll advertising. So it's for Lion Coffee. You can see the advertisement on the back there. And then you have the standard figure plus an additional outfit that you can change out and get that appearance. So I sold it together as a lot and went for the full asking of $19.99. Alrighty. This is speaking of Flippin' Roo. This is something I picked up from them back when they were still doing the Whatnot sales. I bought a whole series of them. Came out to be about 77 cents each. So there's a whole series. I think these came out of a book, Mother Earth's Children. Anyways, this is the first one to sell. I originally listed them at $14.99, and this one sold for $11 on offer. But it shows a little girl dressed up as a fig, and it's got a little poem to go with it. So I don't remember the size off the top of my head here. Okay, so it's about 8 by 10. So came out of a book, something that someone can frame and put up on their wall or wherever. So $11 for this one at 77 cents each is probably paid for the lot. So the rest of them will sell when they sell. If you're interested, they're in the shop. Patches. Do you know I like to sell patches on occasion? State Farm Insurance. Nothing wildly exciting or crazy there. It did sell for $7 on offer. I got it from Wally Man over on Whatnot as part of a lot. I don't know if this is going to a collector or someone who works for State Farm, because obviously they're still around. But you can see, obviously, they're staining, pulled threads. It's not in tip-top condition, but still sold for $7. This does go eBay standard envelope like the postcard, so I offer free shipping on that. Alrighty, into our POG adjacent. It's a classic trade card size, but it comes with, or came with, the Apollo 13 mission POGs, and it's basically just a checklist. This one sold for $8. I believe I have more, though I don't seem to have more listed here. So maybe I have them in a separate listing. I thought I had more. Certainly have one in my own personal collection, but again, you got the POG checklist effectively here, and then some little fun facts or information or okay, how to play on the back there. So $8 for that. Yeah, okay. This one I probably got off of eBay as part of a lot that I was probably buying for myself, and then I sold off the duplicates. This was interesting. So this came off of eBay when I was buying a lot of POGs. Obviously, it itself is not a POG. It is a wooden token from the 1982 World's Fair. It's got Knoxville, Kentucky on the front there, and it's advertising for, I guess, an election. Frank C. Wynn for district attorney, again in 1982. Sat for a little bit, a couple years. I listed in December of 2024, so a year and a half, I suppose. But it sold for the full asking of $19.99, which was by far probably the best piece that came out of the entire POG bag, and wasn't even, what I was buying the bag for. Keeping with the POG theme, about the 15,000 POG haul that I did with Chris Cool and Common. He took 15,000, I took 15,000, included some sealed POG packs. This one here, just open it up. So I still have 8 more available, but this is just the classic POG set. Guess it comes with 7 POGs. Yeah, 7 POGs per pack, and someone bought 5 of them. I think it was. Come on. Yeah, bought 5 of them at $7 each. So on offer for a total of 35 plus shipping. Technically, I made a little bit off the shipping. This one I went to Canada as well, so 35, 15. I believe Chris, if you're watching, you can correct me. I don't remember, but paid either, what was it, 200 or 250 for each half. I don't know. I have to go back to my tracking for this one. It's been a while as well, but we're in good shape, and we have a lot more POGs from that collection to go. All right. This is I think this is the best CDV I have sold to date. Shows Emperor Maximilian and Empress Carlotta from Mexico in the 1860s. You can see there was some trimming down to the top, a little discoloration, a little bit of a stamp on the back, hard to read. I bought this from Schmidt Auctions over on Whatnot for $6.48. When I cost averaged everything I bought from her that day, it came out to be $2.16 cost average. But I got it on a single bid for $40. Thankfully, there was someone in the chat when I purchased it who immediately identified the individuals for me. Google Lens was good at confirming that, so I would have figured it out eventually, but having that information from the get-go definitely made listing this much easier. So very happy with that. I enjoy the CDVs, and it's nice to get a good couple dollars out of one. Keeping on with the CDVs, this one I got from Postcard and Prosecco over on Whatnot for about 71 cents. Each cost average was a $4 to $5 lot. Young woman here, curly hair, got the ruffle jabbet, which is like that neck collar thing going on. And then look on the back. It's kind of hard to see in the image here. It's dark. But it was taken in Washington, D.C. by C. and Bell. which from my understanding is a relatively, I don't know if popular is the right word, but more common studio portrait publisher in DC at that time. So again, that one went for $19.99. Um, I listed it as a cabinet card. It's certainly a paper on or a photo on board. This one came from Flipping Roo at some point. I don't remember exactly when, but again, whatnot purchase at the time. And this one is identified on the back. We got Helen and Paul Kittringer is what we came up with. I'm not 100% certain on that last name there, but we do have a Waterville or Waterville, New York, which is just across the river from me. And yeah, we got two young kids. I'm not certain which one is Paul and which one is Helen. I'm assuming this one's Paul, but regardless, 1999. One bid on auction there. All right, nice cabinet card sale here. This one had some condition issues. The corners were very soft. I've clearly got some discoloration going on the front there. You can see some more of that creasing at the corners. But this one was for North Platte, Nebraska, I believe. Yeah, North Platte, Nebraska. And I don't come across Nebraska stuff too often. Certainly not in cabinet cards or CDB. So I listed a little higher at the $24.99 start. I don't remember where I got it from. Circa 1868 was written on the back by a previous dealer, I presume, or previous owner. But in any case, sold for the starting price of $24.99 plus shipping for that. And I think it did go back to Nebraska. Keeping with the cabinet cards, this one I got from Postcard and Prosecco as well over on Whatnot. Definitely a softer, faded image, but it does show a cute young kid with drumsticks and a drum set, snare drum, which I think this is the only one I've seen like that. And we did have a location identification there, Elmont, Michigan. And then we have a studio portrait there as well. And yeah, not too shabby there with the $19.99. Off to a tin tap. I got this one from Flippin' Roo for about $3.20. I turned it into $14.99. So not a huge profit, but not too bad. This one did come with free shipping, so I probably made $9-10 maybe in the end, maybe 7-8, whatever. Not too bad. Two cute kids, siblings presumably, perhaps sisters, perhaps sister brother. I'm not sure. She's certainly got like a pearl necklace going on there. You can see some hand tinting there on the blush. But just overall a nice crisp image, not too bad for an old tin type there. All right. Whew. All right, we're muddling through here. All right, so this obviously political photo, sold it for $8. Back a number of years ago, 2023, there was a yard sale by a fellow reseller in my parents' neighborhood, and they had this big bin of photos, a few postcard tin types, it's kind of mixed ephemera, other political campaign related ephemera, and I bought the whole box for $100. And it's taken a while. I still have a lot of it. Some pieces have sold here, some have sold there. And this one sold for again the asking of $8. The buyer actually bought a second piece as well. I don't remember if it was this piece or the other piece. One of them got lost by the post office, unfortunately. But the buyer was very gracious. They understood and left good reviews. They liked the piece that they got. But this was just one of the pieces you would get if you donated to one of the campaigns or whatever. So shows Ronald Reagan and Bush Sr. So nothing too wild and crazy there. Another photo. This one went for $15.11. I'm pretty sure I bought it in a lot on Whatnot at some point. Could have been from Chris Cool and Comment. I don't remember. But it's got some information on the back. Naval Submarine Base in Bangor. And then you can see part of the identification there for the ship. Was there any more on the back? Well, anywho, it was the USS Ohio, based off the number there. So again, $15.11. This was about 8.5 by 11, something like that. So a good size print. And this makes me chuckle. So we saw those last couple pieces, which were larger size prints, and they sold okay. Nothing wild and crazy. And then there's this one, which is a little bit bigger than a wallet size, 4.5 by 3.25. Uh, Shows a view from the Hoover Dam. They're at the observation post here. Just woman in front of the sign. This I got from Sarah Jane 62 over on Whatnot. She had in her Buy It Now a $1 lot that had, I think, 11 different views of the Hoover Dam. So I picked it up for the dollar. I was already vested shipping wise from other purchases. And I split out the pieces. And this is the only one to have sold so far, I believe, but it's sold for the full asking of 20. So $1 into 20 when I got another 8 pieces to go. Not complaining at all. Okay, dokie. So may have seen some of these in the past. Obviously, I'm a big dinosaur person, animal person. This came from some of my childhood collection. As I've been bringing stuff out of boxes into the house, there were some things I decided I don't need to keep the lizard figures. So I've been listing all the lizard figures I didn't want to keep, and most of them have been selling pretty well. Now, this one was up for a little bit longer, yeah, about a year, a little over a year. But this one did go for the full asking of $24 plus shipping. So definitely keep an eye out for the older figures from the 90s, etc. They do have a collector base, and I always add in or try to always add in a little video for the figures here. It's looking a little washed out, unfortunately, but still gets the idea across. Here's a sense of scale, anyways. All right, we're almost, yeah. We got a couple more non-postcards, then we'll take a little break here. Eat the Rich. This is one of the stickers that I designed myself. I used to sell these at like $5. I've slowly increased them as shipping has gone up, etc. But this one did sell with a full asking of $10. I've sold 14 over the period of the listing, which has been 3 years now, or almost 3 years. So if you're interested, I have them available here as well as in my Whatnot store. So whichever area you prefer to purchase from. So yeah, in today's economy, I think many of us can understand the sentiment with this one, and it's obviously a riff on Jurassic Park. And then the last non-postcard item. This is just for giggles in here. This has been listed for 4 years now, or was listed for 4 years when it sold. Came out of the family collection when the parents were getting rid of the VHS. I listed most of them. Um, Many of them I then eventually took down and donated when they didn't sell. This one I kept up because it was brand new sealed. But as you can see, it's still only sold for $5 plus media mail shipping. So you can see the seals all there. So yeah, there are still collectors for these. Some of them you can get a few bucks for, but in many cases, even the sealed versions are they're nothing to write home about. They're not moving fast. They're not moving for a lot. So that's the non postcard items. I'm going to take a quick break here, get some food, and then we will come back for the postcards. Okay, I have a few minutes before lunch is ready, so let's get a start on the postcards, anyways. This first sale, I have to shout out RK. You may have seen her down in some of the comments of the videos. She came over after watching after watching a video with George the Antique Nomad where he shouted me out because we were talking ephemera. In any case, she bought this beautiful cat card on offer for $11. So a couple bucks off there. Got this from my friend Dave F. Brother over on Whatnot. And it is part of a whole series of just these nice, colorful, I don't know if abstract's the right word, but yeah, I guess psychedelic, that's what I used in the title. But just nice, pretty, continental size postcards. I have a set for myself for my own personal collection. I'll pull out a few eventually and frame them for the wall. But she left a very nice review after receiving it, and she also sold me some QSL cards. which is a very nice little collection that I got. If you would like to see a haul video on that, I haven't processed them yet, so that's still possible. Let me know in the comments below. And if you're watching, thank you again very much. Appreciate it. All right. Continuing on, this one I was a little disappointed in. Sold for $13.79 on offer. Originally listed at 20, but I just sometimes you just got to take the offers you can get. It's a it's an airbrushed postcard embossed. I love the airbrushed. It gives me a clown vibe, but it is in fact a golfer. You can see the golf clubs here in the golf bag. Sort of a I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a golf hat or an ice pack or what. And then you got a little writing up here. Well, let's see. Well, I don't know. He missed his shot. I'm guessing. Anyways, it's different. I've not seen a lot like this, so I picked it up for about $3 from M Shell and Effie over on Whatnot. And again, I sold it for the 13 and change, so $10 or so. Not too bad. You can see there's some discoloration issues. It was in an album at some point, probably. Uh, but I love the airbrush, so sometimes I just have to pick something up because I enjoy having it in my collection for a smidge. All right, this came out of one of the Albany albums. Image itself, nothing wild and crazy. Got a little chicken and egg there. Sold for $9, but it does have a little advertising for CL Hathaway and Company in Middleborough, Massachusetts. I'm assuming, yeah, the Conkey Poultry, yeah, it's poultry advertising, agriculture, horticulture, all the cultures. Anywho, a nice little sale there. All right, this one was fun. I picked this up from Postcard and Prosecco over on Whatnot. Came as a pair, and these are I didn't even realize the video was sideways, but whatever. Gets the point across. But they're called like springtail cards or whatever. They got these little springs. They're often seen as like tails of dogs and donkeys and horses, whatever. But this one was of this lady and her tongue's a wagon. The one I kept had a cat in it, so it's not. I'm sure I can find a better one for my collection at some point, but it's a stand-in for now. But in any case, I paid $10 for the pair, so $5 each. This one sold for the full asking of 20, which means I get to keep mine in my collection for freezies. This did go UPS ground advantage because that spring is not going to be eBay standard envelope friendly. So nice little sale there. This one, nothing wild and crazy. Uh, Person purchased three of the exact same card, and this is why I don't mind, and in fact like listing like packs of 50 or whatever, because you list it once, you set the price, yeah, again $5 each, but then you just let it sit and forget, or set it and forget it. And a lot of times when these multi-quantity lots start to sell, then other ones start to it like boosts the listing and you start selling more of them. But in any case, this came from the Albany Postcard Show 2 years ago, I think it was. When I went there, one of the dealers had like 3 boxes. It was basically all Continentals, primarily New York State stuff. Like this one's from Rochester, New York, the George Eastman House. And I think he was offering like $10 a box, and I only had $25 left on me cash, and I was trying to decide which one I wanted or which two I was going to get. He's like, "How about all three of them for the 25?" Sure. So it was thousands of cards. Like each box holds roughly 700 to 1,000 cards, depending on thickness and whether they're sleeved or not. They were mostly Continentals, and there were a lot of 20 of this. This one, I guess, I have 11 available, so I must have had 14 of it at the beginning. And I got home. I listed them all that night, which was easier in part because I had so many multi-quantity listings. And by the next morning, I had made my $25 back. So everything that else that comes from the Albany postcard show that first year I went it's all gravy at this point. But anyways, long story short, person bought three of these, $4.99 each. They get a discount for buying multi-quantity. So after shipping and fees, I made $12, which again is half of the overall box, 3 boxes. So, we mentioned QSLs earlier. Here's one that I sold in June. was in my back stock, so I don't know exactly where it came from. Probably from Dave. Dave F. Brother is where a lot of my QSL cards have come from, but I do occasionally pick them up on eBay, etc. But in any case, this one sold for $11. Originally had it listed for 20. Shows a miner in Ukraine back during the Soviet era. I will just say, be careful, do your own due diligence when it comes to anything Ukraine or Russian. I have had I had at least one Ukrainian QSL card taken down as a violation because it was from Crimea. And even though it was dated prior to the current Russian war on Ukraine, um, because it came from Ukraine, or from Crimea specifically, which is currently under Russian occupation, it's part of an embargo. So it got taken down. I appealed it, didn't work out, whatever. So just be careful. Some obviously are acceptable or make it through. I don't know which is the correct um, use, or the correct reasoning for this, but just be careful with them when listing them. Right, one more, and then I think lunch is ready. I picked up a whole bunch of these German Shepherd. They're lenticular cards from U.S. Post Office. Basically, warning or advertising, keeping your dogs not locked up, but keeping them from biting the postal workers. I bought a whole bunch of them from one buyer or one seller on eBay. They were packed terribly, but whatever. I got a good deal on them. And a person came and bought two of them for $10 each. Make $13.57 after fees, discount, etc. But I still have another 40 available if you are interested. I'm going to go eat lunch, and then we will come back for the rest of the postcards. Hit done. Okay, we're back after stuffing my face with too many chicken nuggets because I'm a child. We shall continue. We are on to the real photo postcard sales in June. So this first one, I always pick up real photo postcards that have dogs in them, especially dogs with their peoples. Um, they just seem to be popular. They take they generate a slightly higher asking price, and then if you can identify the breed of dog, which is not my strong suit, but sometimes you get ones that are a little easier, like this fox terrier type dog. Excuse me, sorry. Anyways, long story short, this one I got for about $3.24 from Retco Relics over on the Whatnots, and sold on a single bid for $24.99. Just a nice studio portrait of a stern man with his very attentive dog. You can see on the back there, ASO four triangles up, so early 1900s, 1910s. You got a little bit of scrapbook residue on the back, but otherwise a nice card. So good sale there. Buyer did pay ground advantage shipping because it was over $20. All right. Next real photo. This one sold on offer for $16. Originally priced at $20. I paid $1.40 on cost average from a $59 lot on eBay. But shows a logistics horse here. You can see the quartermaster, or I guess I don't know if it's a mule or a horse. I guess I hedged my bets there on the title. But in any case, you can see the sign in the back there. And then we got another ASO stamp box there. That's a later 1920s or so. But anyways, some zoom ins. Nice little sale there for the 15. All right. Nice. Someone used the term on Whatnot a couple months ago of a sturdy woman as a way to describe women, some women. Anyways, I use that in this title here. But anyways, we got nice woman here. She got great accessories. That outfit is killer. That hat's killer. Nice leather gloves going on there. And having trouble showing it, but there is a studio blind stamp there, which brought us out to France. I got this from Turner Vintage Postcards over on Whatnot. Sold for a single bid of 20. Right, this was definitely one of my better sales as well. We already saw the great CDV, but this real photo postcard I got from my good friends Flipping Roo. I paid roughly $4 for it. I don't know if that was cost average or what the dealio is, but shows Port-au-Prince, Haiti, obviously before the present day upheaval. I don't know why these are all showing like that, but whatever. In any case, keep an eye out for Haiti related postcards, especially the real photo ones, because they're just aren't a lot out there, at least not in my experience. And obviously, they can demand a better price. In this case, $49.99. All right, quick correction. eBay doesn't always show me the correct data when I want it. This one actually sold for $38, not the $49.99, which is a difference, but still a pretty good sale there on $4. And again, it still, I think, reinforces that it's a subject worth keeping an eye out for. All right, this was this one, if you remember, I almost kept. So I picked this up from Dater Cottage, which is my local postcard shop. This was from when Flipperoo was up for her birthday celebration. Uh, Cost average was about $1.44 for each item I picked up that day, or that weekend rather. And this one shows some sort of European soccer football team. It helped that I listed this probably just before the World Cup. But in any case, I just saw, you know, great expressions, great uniform. You got the ball there, and then later on when I got home, I'm like, oh, there's a black cat in there too, which is very tempting to keep. But I feel like it deserves to be with an owner who likes the whole sports feel in this case. Um, but single bid, $30, which I guess is really the end of a long story that didn't need to be. But yeah, that's not a bad turn. $1.44 into $30 there. Anything on the back? No, blank back, more or less. All right. Um, this one, I believe, sold for the full asking of $19.99. Okay, confirmed. It did. Any case, I got this off eBay, about 95 cents cost average. And it shows two young women holding hands. They could be sisters, they could be just friends. I don't know. I put the lesbian interest in the title because that is just one of those things that sells. Gay interest sells even better, actually, for me. And it went for $19.99, so not too bad there. Studio portrait, early 1910s. So sometimes yeah, we don't really know what's going on in the image, but if you can build a compelling story, um, that can sell a piece, and that's what these become at some point. Is we try to interpret what we're seeing and make a story from it. On that same theme, this one went with the gay interest tag, also from the Dater Cottage Hall, same weekend. This we got three men riding the same old horse. They're all holding on to each other. I think a very reasonable gay interest uh, piece here. But in any case, see the title there. Went for the single bid of $24.99. And again, nothing on the back there. Uh, I typically associate this kind of backing with European pieces. The architecture sort of felt European to me as well. Um, all right, this one sold on offer for $14. Got it from Dave F. Brother in a lot for about 50 cents. So it was a $6 lot. Originally had it listed at 20, but just shows just a very attractive couple here, Italian couple, based off the back there. Clearly a stage, studio type piece, but outside, nice bench there. So nice little sale there. All right, this one, I don't. I feel like a lot of people would pass up on picking something like this up because there's it's just people standing outside. But I thought with the chevron tent here, and it's just a really crisp image as well, multi-generational. I thought that this was a nice piece. I picked it up again at the $1.44 cost average at Dater Cottage. Sold for a single bit of 20. Nothing on the back there of any use. So nice sale there. All right, this one I picked up from Evil Witch over on Whatnot. Another great seller. I paid about a little over $4 for it, so it's not my best turnaround. I picked it up at that price because the masking here is fish shaped, which I don't see too often. The image itself, unfortunately, is out of focus. Young kid, nothing wild and crazy, but it did sell, I believe, for the full asking of $19.90. All right, this next one. This next one was an interesting one. So I know I think I talked about it in a haul before. It sold for $18 here on offer. Um, but this is the one where I swear that is a body, right? Like that's a head on like a pillow, and then it's like wrapped up. I mean, that's what it looks. That's the read to me. But like everyone just seems happy and chill about it. We're out in the farmer's field with the body. I don't know. That's how I listed it. I put it up on auction. Didn't sell on auction. So I just listed it at the 20. And this person really, really, really wanted it, and they kept going back and forth. And finally, they accepted an $18 offer. I think it went to Canada. I don't remember. But in any case, I got it from 3K Girls over on Whatnot. Cost average $3. It was just an interesting card. I spent a lot of time looking at this one, and you got like this. Was that going to be like a funeral pyre in the background? I don't know. Just an interesting image. All right, this was a nice sale. Got this from a lot on eBay. I don't know what my cost average was, but this is identified. You can read that there. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Seminole, so Native Americans. Sold on a single bid there for $29.99. This one, I am fairly certain, is not a one of a kind. I'm pretty sure I did see other sold comps for this exact card, but it's still uncommon enough and an interesting subject. So, DOPS stamp box in the back there. All right, this one's interesting because this is the second time I sold this card. So I got this from a vendor over at Dater Cottage. In this case, I picked it up on the latest route trip. But I had also picked up this exact same card, I think it was last year, maybe last September. And the first one sold to someone for $24.99. And based on their username and their store, they're a big lantern person. So I'm assuming picked it up because this guy's got all the lanterns. Well, I go back to Dater Cottage and I found a second one. So I was like, all right. The first one sold on auction for $24.99. Added an extra $5 to it and went to a completely different buyer for the $29.99 this time. So not too bad. I will definitely pick this up again if I ever find it. All right, $25 on this card. Came from Turner Vintage Postcards over on Whatnot. Okay, so original listed it at 30. Not too bad. We do have, well, so it's a nice hand-tinted, obviously beautiful woman here. Veil, got the hand fan. But if I recall, this one had an interesting story from World War One involving, I believe that was a major battle or certainly a significant event in World War One. I forget exactly. I looked it up at the time. Um, so I put those keywords in there. Okay, so there we go. So you can read all that there, but yeah, there's a whole story that went with this card, and it was one of those where I don't honestly know if the back sold it or the front sold it, but I think really together it was a great piece. So um, that was a nice sale there. All right, interesting one. Got off eBay, sold for $29.99. Uh, Clearly a studio portrait, but two men with rifles on a donkey, mule, whatever. And then we got a little bit of identification there as to the wear. All right, this came off of eBay for about $1.17. I sold it, I believe. Yeah, this one sold for the full asking of $34.99. But we see some passengers here. The George Washington Bremen. Um, I've seen a lot of pieces like this, and I think it really kind of depends on which ship they're sailing on. But in any case, this one did have information on the back about immigrants, I believe. Anyways, passengers. Um, you can pause that and try to parse it all out. But again, this is another one of those where the back is just as important as the front for making the sale. All right. This one I picked up from Gator Cottage in the last trip as well, sold on auction for $24.99. And what sold me on this one um, was not only do we have two individuals with rifles, clearly World War I style. You got the campaign hat there, but in particular, you have a woman here holding a rifle with a bayonet, which I don't come across women holding firearms too often. Um, and every time I do, they move pretty well. So happy to pick that one up for that again, $1.44 cost average. Um, yeah, just a great card. I need to get back to Dater. I haven't done much sourcing in a while. I need to get back out there. This one came from Thrifty Dash Hound Mom over on Whatnot, about $3 cost average. Um, Identified artist, actress, sold for the full asking of $19.99. This was one of my favorite pieces that I picked up at the last Dater Cottage haul. It sold for $30. I was hoping it would sell for more, but in any case, this is a giant beehive apiary setup here, which is sort of what I thought when I looked at it, but I wasn't sure because it's so huge. But from what I understanding, or what I understand, this is sort of a more European style, and there's a name for it, Bienenhaus, I think. I'm assuming that just means bee house or something like that. But there was just a lot going on. Like that's just great to start with. You got a nice family here. Guy's got good handlebar mustache. Looks like he's got a cigarette or a pipe or something. You got the kids with the sailor outfit. And if we would move over, yeah, and then you got the kid with the smoker here too. So just a great image. I was very tempted to keep this one, but I let it go. Okay, this one sold on offer for $20. I kind of they wore me down on this one. Obviously, they had it listed for 30. It was up for a while, but it shows disaster, flood, industrial disaster in Malta, Ohio. It's got some of the writing here on the side that I did the identification. And we went back and forth a lot of times before I finally accepted the $20 offer. It did, I believe, go back to Malta itself, so it's gone home. But nice image. I like the disaster images. I don't find it too common that you get them with identifications. You usually just see, flooded streets, flood damage, and that's that. So that was a nice little addition there. And then last but certainly not least, got this from Dave F. Brother over on Whatnot again for I think about a buck. Yeah, about a buck a card for this particular lot. Sold this one on auction for $29.99. But you see women on like a parade float. They got a loom spinning wheel, and kids dressed up as a Native American. Again, just a lot going on. Got like a log cabin-y kind of design to the float. Just got a little flag here, the old carriage. It's just a great image. And I believe on the back, the message I think again helped with this one, indicated that it was 4th of July, um, and was able to sort of determine probably London, Ohio. So, whew, those were the highlights from June. We'll do a July video here soon, hopefully. I'm going to try to ease back into these videos again. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you are having great sales if you are a seller. I hope you have some great finds if you are a collector. But in any case, thanks again for watching. Leave your thoughts, comments, questions in the comments below, and never stop exploring.